Hagut Erev Shabbos. Today is Erev Shabbos, Sazvir Mitzayra, Rish Chodesh Iyar. Iyar is Rosh Tevis. We know Ani Hashem Rofecha. That is the first letters of Ani Hashem Rofecha make Iyar. Hopefully this is the month that Hashem promised that He is the healer of Klal Yisrael and the rest of the world. So hopefully we will have this unfortunate virus and sickness that has been going around, and this is the month that it would end, and all of Klal Yisrael and the rest of the world will see Yeshuas and Refuos B'mheira. I'll concentrate a little bit on Pirkei avos. This is the second week in Pirkei avos. Avos means parents. That's one way, one of the drushes why they call it avos. Avos is the Messiah, what parents give to their children, what parents do for their children, and things that they tell their children, or the way they behave themselves is what the children emulate. And that's what avos is about. Avos is about handing down the Messiah that we saw from Moshe, Kibel Torah Messina, which was the way this begins. And this is what we handed down, Messiah Yeshua, and as we hand it down to our children to our grandchildren, is what we hope for. And that's why we learn now Masechta Avos, because we just finished Pesach, and there are 6 Shabbosos between Pesach and Shavuos. So the Chachamim were misaken to learn Pirkei avos, which is Mishnayos Avos of 5 Perakim, and they added another perek from another Masechta, so that people should grow. By the time they reach Shavuos, this is basically a Musa Sefer. And it's usually 9 out of 10 times whatever's going on here is talking about Ben Adam L'Chavera, because Derech Eretz Kadmei L'Torah, things between one person to another person, how they behave. And then of course that's how we would be Zoicha to accept the Torah and Shavuos with a higher level of Kedusha, because we know that there's always that little taste of Pesach that stays in our mouths from Pesach, and hopefully that grows this Kedusha, so that we should be able to accept the Torah in a higher level, as I said before. Second perek begins with Rebbe. Rebbe was the redactor of Mishnayos. He was the one that actually put together all of the Mishnayos. The Gemara says Rebbe had Torah Gdula b'makom echad. There was no other person that had Torah Gdula like Rebbe had. He was exceptionally wealthy, firstly. Secondly, he had enough Torah to be the one to understand all the Mishnayos and to be able to put them together and understand which ones have to be redacted into Mishnayos and which one he left alone and became brises. And Rebbe was also, the Gemara says, when Rebbe passed away, is Batla Anava. The concept of humbleness to the level that they had up to that point, Rebbe, when he passed away, was in the highest level of Anava of his generation. And just like Moshe Rabbeinu was Zoicha to give the Torah, because Moshe Kibel Torah mi Sinai. How do we know that Moshe was Zoicha? Because he was the greatest honor of the Torah. Tells us to us at the end of the Torah. He was honor of Mikal Adam. He was the most humble person in the history of the universe. And that's like the mountain of Sinai was also the lowest one. So that's where we say Moshe Kibel Torah mi Sinai. Not should have said B'Sinai Sinai at Sinai. He didn't get it from Sinai. He get it from Hashem. But Sinai shows us that why Moshe was Zoicha to be Makabel the Torah, for the same reason. Exactly 1500 years after Kabbalah Torah, Rebbe was the one that was Zoicha to put together Mishnayos Balpeh, Mishnayos that was Torah Balpeh. Up to that point, it was halachically not allowed to write down any Mishnah. But he realized that it was 150 years after the Churban, and Mishnayos and Gemaras are going to get forgotten because people were scattered all over the world. And up to that point, they were in Bavel mostly, in Iraq, but they were going all over the world already at that point. So he saw that things will be forgotten. So he, as the Nasi, the king of Bnei Yisrael, so to speak, had the power to, with the Chachamim's backing, to begin writing down the Mishnayos. And that's how we start this Mishnah. Now remember, Rebbe had everything and anything a human being could want on this earth. Yet, he was very, very humble. So he says in this Mishnah, what is the proper path that a person should go, should choose for himself. Now, it doesn't say, what do you mean, what's the proper path? The Torah tells us what we can do. She says, no, this is not the pshat in what Rebbe wants to say. Rebbe says, of course you have to do things according to the Torah. But what is according to the Torah? You can do things that are good for you and do things that are, shaky. You could look for a heter in everything if you want to try to find it. Or what is the proper path that a human should behave? A human, somebody of Bnei Yisrael especially, should behave. So he answers, anything that you think will be teferes loiser v'teferes lo min adam. To take the balance, take the middle route, in which way the Rambam says it. You take teferes loiseha, the things that are beautiful, that would be accepted, that Rabbeinu Shalom would think of highly, v'teferes lo min adam. But don't make yourself into such a tzaddik in a way that you should overdo it, that people should look at you as strange, even though you're doing it to Shem Shemayim. It has to be the middle of the road, and that is the most proper way. And that's the same thing when you teach your children. Don't force them to do things that look different than everybody else. Keep them the way they would be happy, so that they should want to continue this Messiah that you give them. There's an amazing story that I saw many years ago and just came up with. I noticed